Trump has announced a slew of new measures, but he has proven to be a relatively ineffective leader on building a domestic coalition, no less an international coalition, to take on the more harmful effects of what China has been doing. So I think that as we see China becoming more of a campaign issue, the question will be in front of American voters whether or not the person who has decisively changed US policy more than any other administration over the last 40 years, that would be Trump, gets more credit, or the one who's actually seen to have a plan for what to do about it, that would be not Trump, is seen to get more credit on this.
No doubt about it. This is an election that's going to be a referendum on this administration, on the president specifically. But I want to ask you about what should the questions be for investors at this point? Because if you're outside of the United States right now, things are looking quite dire. You see the kind of pictures that we're seeing with the riots and the looting and that violence and multiple voices across multiple media platforms, including, of course, Twitter. The president hasn't abstained from using Twitter, although at the moment it seems as if he has presidential Tourette's because we're only getting a couple of words per tweet. How do you see this in terms of the investment case for the United States? Because we're seeing the market over the last several weeks looking up. At the same point, there's a disconnect between that and the real economy.
Look, there are two contradictory forces that are happening right now. On the one hand, the fundamentals of the U.S. economy are undoubtedly strong, and that's probably true when we do that in relative, no less in absolute terms. When the coronavirus abates, whenever that is, the fundamentals of the U.S. economy will lead it to snap back fairly strongly, I imagine. Although we are seeing, 15 to 20% unemployment, which is just unprecedented in modern times. There's one other thing, though, in terms of what investors should be looking for. If they're looking for a kind of stimulus to jumpstart the American economy, you, in the news of what's happening from the White House and even out on the streets of America, we're missing some of the big calls that are coming out of Congress. Last week, you had a bipartisan legislation advanced in both the House and the Senate by kind of, as diametrically politically opposed figures as Chuck Schumer and Tom Cotton, calling for $100 billion to be invested to enhance U.S. scientific and technological competitiveness vis-a-vis China. So it strikes me as the government will be pumping more money into the American economy for a slew of different reasons on this, and the fundamentals are pretty strong at this point.